Well, happy Bulletproof Monday, everyone. My name is Susan Sly, and I am so happy you're here watching this. On Mondays, I do a show on Facebook, Bulletproof Monday, and the show is really about helping you become bulletproof in life and business. And if you are used to watching this live, normally I come on at 2 Pacific. We are actually moving the time to 1 Pacific because I live here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And today I'm even earlier because my kids are home and it's Veterans Day. And just thinking very deeply about Veterans Day and Remembrance Day in Canada and wherever it is you live and honoring the people who've served, I wanted to take a military principle and use it as a business principle to help you in order to finish the year strong. So it's great to see Jessica and Hadass and all of you, Kim, and so many of you joining. I love that you show up for these Bulletproof Mondays. And just before I get into this, I always do suggest, this is one of the ways I contribute, that if you're taking notes, that's fantastic, but I actually send the notes to all of my subscribers at susansly.com. So if you head over to susansly.com and you sign up for my newsletter, whatever I train on Monday, I'm going to send you the notes, but also you get special coupons and discounts and things like that. So let's jump right in. I had this friend and his name was Nigel, and Nigel was very upper high ranking in the British military. And one time I said to him, Nigel, what happens if you're going along and your vehicle, you run over an IED or something, and suddenly you're there in the middle of the desert and there's nothing? How do what do you do? And he said the first principle that we have is to look around and really see what assets we have. And so let's begin there. In life and in business, we always have assets, but sometimes we're so upside down and backwards and we're in the weeds and we're exhausted. And, if you have children, which I have 5, or aging parents, or maybe your relationship is a mess, or you've got just a whole lot of life obligations, sometimes we can become very negative and we can go into that victim mode. And when we're in victim, it's hard to see the assets we have. So the first thing we want to do is take a look at what assets do we have. So assets can look like money. They can look like, having, a skill that we can market as an example. My dad always said, as long as you have skills, Susan, you will never go hungry. So that's why going into college, I became a certified fitness instructor, a certified personal trainer, then a certified nutritionist. I did all these certifications so that if it was meant to be, it was up to me. And while I was growing businesses, that I could always work with people and make money, right? And so do you have some skills you can market? Maybe you're an accountant, a marketing professional. Maybe you can be an organizer, whatever it is you can do that you can take to market. The next asset you might have, maybe you have a great social media following. That could be another asset. Maybe you have a list. I teach my clients, I just have to go off my plan for a moment and say this. I was speaking at Kayla Craft's event. I love you, Kayla. Thanks for an amazing event. She did her first Mommy Millionaire. There were 100 women in the room. It was amazing. And time and again, I'd say to women, tell me about your list. And they'd be like, well, I don't have a list. My list is on social media. And I'm like, well, that's not your list. That's someone else's list. An asset is the list you control. And that's why at my agency, we're partnered with Infusionsoft, which is, in my mind, the premier CRM company for small business owners. We teach our people the first thing they need to do is get a list. And people like Jessica, who's watching right now, just grew her list by 7,000 people without paying a cent for it. Gina, another client, grew her list by 7,000 people last month without paying a cent for that. Your list is your power, and that's an asset. The most important asset you might have is your network. So currently, I have just been named CCO, Chief Communication Officer of Radius AI, which is a Silicon Valley and Phoenix-based AI startup. And we're in a pre-Series A funding round. And so one of my roles is to help bring in investors in this round. And so in the last 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks, I've helped to bring in almost $1.5 million in investors We're closing the round at 3 million and we're at almost 2.5 million. And how did I do that? Because it will be written about soon in the press. How did I do that? It's because I have a network and I went to my network and I'm presenting to my network, and that is an asset. Write this down, please. My network is my asset. And that's why you always want to be building your network and serving your network. So knowing this first thing, as Nigel shared in that story, is like, Susan, I look around and I'm like, what are my assets right now? The second thing that is really going to assist you, and I want to honor all of the women and men who've served as police officers in our military in any form of service. Many years ago, I actually worked for the correctional system in Canada. So I served, I worked men's maximum security, by the way, as a prison guard. And then I went into psych testing, and I'd sit in rooms and inmates would be there and I'd administer psych tests on them. Some of you don't know that about me, but I also did serve and as a peace officer. And so I want to honor anyone who's served. Maybe you served in the health field and you were deployed, working in health. And I have a friend who that was her job. And so, I am honoring everyone on this Bulletproof Monday because these principles, and I love working with people who have served because they do tend to do really well in business because they understand this. And if you didn't serve, it doesn't mean you can't adopt these principles into your life. The next principle is adapt to your terrain. So this book, Sun Tzu, The Art of War, this is used at Harvard School of Business. It is used at Wharton. It is used at all the big business schools. So this book is over 2,000 years old. Not this particular book. You're like, Susan, that's not 2,000 years old. These writings are over 2,000 years old. And when I was 12 years old, maybe younger, my dad, I was raised by a single dad, and so shouts out to the single parents out there. My dad comes in my bedroom in Brockville, Ontario, Canada, and he goes, Susan, listen, you have to read this book. And I'm like, really, Dad? I have to read? He's like, yes, you have to read this book. If you want to understand life, you want to understand business, you have to read this book. So one of the principles in the book is adapt to your terrain. So in the military, they understand very clearly, they adapt to their terrain. So wherever it is, they're going to adapt, and based on what it is they need to do. The same thing is true in business. In 2008, when Facebook, here we are on Facebook, when social media was just kind of gaining some traction, people, the early adopters on social media, whether it was YouTube or whatever, they tended to do really well. And you could post pictures and get a lot of engagement. Well, right now, about 2% of people see anything you post. If you have a business page like I do, you can boost the post, you can have more people watch it, but you have to adapt to the terrain. And the terrain is that there are so many people posting. Your mom is posting, your dad is posting, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, everyone is posting something that, if you look at it in the world now, there are billions of people on social media, and back in early, in and around 2001, 2002, there weren't that many. In fact, in 2002, there were only 5% of the people in the world were on the internet. Now, in 2017, it was 55.4% of people were on the internet. So, it's adapting to the terrain. So that means in this terrain, you might have to post a little more consistently, brand yourself, niche down, figure out how you are going to put yourself out there. That's why Bulletproof Monday, when I show up and I do the show, and to give you these techniques, it's just, and to send you the notes and to do those things, that's all around the branding. And, for those of you, not everyone is going to want to follow me, a 46-year-old mom of 5 who runs several companies, who's now a Silicon Valley CCO, and all of it. Not every one of you is going to want to follow me, and I'm totally cool with that. But for the ones that do, I've surveyed you, and I understand there are certain things you want me to talk about, and that's what I show up and do on Mondays, and that's part of that strategy, adapting to the terrain. This particular terrain we're in, we've got some economic, things that are happening. Stock market goes down, it goes up a little bit, it goes way down. We have new technology, VR technology, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, the newest social media platform, or, people aren't even talking about it. The kids are on Musical.ly right now, and adults are going to Musical.ly. You've got all these different things that are going on, and it can become overwhelming and exhausting. But here's the thing, how do we adapt to the terrain? So number one, it starts with the mindset. And sometimes we do have to have that mindset where we say, look, if I can take the emotion out of this, what is the most important thing? And I was just working with a group of leaders in my network marketing business, and we were on Google Trends, and I was showing them how certain things actually score much higher than other things, and looking at it and saying, listen, this is part of the terrain now. So if this particular search term is scoring really high, why aren't you using that search term when you're talking to people who potentially might want to come and work with you? You have to adapt to the terrain. Now, that search term might not be, and the search term is ketogenic diet, I'll just say it, and that search term might not be as popular in Q2 of next year, or it might be, but ketogenic diet, if you go on Google Trends, scores higher than low carb, no carb, weight management, detox diet. It scores so much higher that if you aren't using it and you have the ability to use it, why wouldn't you use it? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's a strategy to adapt to the terrain. And the third thing I want to talk about, just in terms of honoring our service women and men, in my last principle for today, is really understanding. So we look at what are our assets, we adapt to our terrain, and at the end of the day, it's mission before self. That is a military term. It's mission before self. And some of you are like, but Susan, you talk about work-life balance. How can you talk about mission before self? Here's what I want to say. It's mission before Netflix and chill. It's mission before eating Ben & Jerry's. It's mission before you go and read the Us Weekly when you should be making another sales call. It's mission before you have the pity party. It's mission before you call your girlfriend and you gossip and you waste the time that you should have been prospecting with people. It's mission before all of those things that don't move you and your family forward. So with that, my website is susansly.com. Again, if you want today's notes, I don't send them out that moment. I prepare them. I do the live and then I prepare them. You'll get them later this week. I am doing a live event in Las Vegas on December 7th called Sales Nirvana. It is some deep neuro-linguistic programming. I'm going to do the perfect presentation formula. I am going to be teaching you how to read people. I could tell you so many stories about how I use it. If you're in business, if you're a solopreneur, you're in network marketing, you want to be there, it's only $97 for a ticket. It's salesnirvana.com. Check it out. It's my last live event for this year. So with that, go rock your day. God bless. You're amazing. I do read all of your comments. If this has been helpful for you, please do share it. And if you have an idea for a Bulletproof Monday, just go to Susan Sly Live, hit the submission form, and we do look at your ideas. All right, take care. God bless, and I will see you next Monday.